Okay, I want to take you back to August 2017, following the despicable white nationalist rally in Charlottesville that left a counter-protester dead. A Virginia politician had this to say at the time. When you look into a baby's eyes, you don't see the hatred and the bigotry that we saw come to Charlottesville yesterday. And we have to ask, where does it come from? Who taught these people? Well, that was then Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam. He wants to know who teaches young people, who sets the examples. Well, political leaders certainly fall into that category. So what example is he setting today when his defense is basically, it can't be me in that blackface photo because I remember the other time I did blackface too well? Or maybe he's thinking, well, they can't prove it's me. I'll just dig in and weather the storm. Maybe there's a redemption story somewhere in here down the line. Maybe Northam's work with black legislators in the state will ultimately outweigh all of this. But for now, he's behaving like a desperate man, hungry to hold on to power. According to the New York Times, he's even considered using facial recognition software to prove it's not him in the racist photo, which suggests he's completely missing the point since the picture is still on his yearbook page. Are we meant to believe he submitted the other personal photos for the yearbook, but not that one? Not to mention, he can't explain why his nickname in school was Coon Man. It just doesn't make sense, and I'm betting it won't hold up for very long. In fact, while he was speaking today, the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus renewed calls for his resignation, saying the damage that has been done by revelations is irreparable. Here's the deal. Governor Northam has his own Democratic colleagues calling for his resignation, as well as the NAACP, the DNC, and almost all of the Democratic presidential contenders. Making this even worse, though, the man who would replace him, Justin Fairfax, the lieutenant governor, is black himself. When he was sworn in, he had the papers that freed his great-great-great-grandfather from slavery in his pocket. And Northam is refusing to go. This is pretty bad, almost as bad as it gets, except this wasn't Northam's only controversy of the week. Just a few days earlier, he went on a radio show in Virginia where he was asked about a controversial new bill that would allow for third trimester abortions. When asked what would happen if a baby survived an abortion, he said the infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. Obviously, the image of a doctor who took an oath to do no harm, debating infanticide, was a jarring one for many, and with good reason. It's appalling. All told, it's been a very bad, awful week for Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Everyone else seems to realize that, but him. Joining me now is the head of the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus, Lamont Bagby. Mr. Bagby, during Northam's address today, your caucus renewed its call on the governor to resign. Could he have said anything today that would have helped him survive this?
Survive this in what sense? I hope when you mean survive it, the only alternative and the only thing that we were looking for is the governor to gracefully step aside.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way that the Commonwealth is able to start its healing process, and we're able to start to move forward. I think there is an opportunity for Ralph to redeem himself, but there is no opportunity for Governor Northam to continue to serve as the governor of the Commonwealth. He's a good man, I believe that, but I think he needs to illustrate what I think he's done in the past, in times that we needed him, for Medicaid expansion, providing supports to schools and criminal justice reform. I think he needs to illustrate that once more by stepping aside so that we can start the healing process.
Yeah.
And he will be able to redeem himself. I'm sure he will have an opportunity to go back to seeing patients. But right now, I think the Commonwealth as a whole needs him to step aside.
What was your feeling about that press conference and his admission that he had dressed in blackface on another occasion, almost using that as a defense?
Well, I was disappointed that he decided to not resign. I was really confident that he would do that. example that he gave as it relates to dressing blackface is Michael Jackson. And I don't know if he compared it to the blackface next to the Ku Klux Klan member, but blackface is blackface. It's unacceptable then, it's unacceptable now, it's unacceptable as Michael Jackson, and it's definitely unacceptable next to a Ku Klux Klan member.
Well, and you said you were confident he was going to resign. You spoke to him yesterday. Did he tell you then that he was going to step down?
He made no commitment to step down, but he did make a commitment that he would do what was in the best interest of the Commonwealth. And he said to us directly that he was committed to doing he was committed to helping those that needed help the most, and he was not interested in hurting anyone. But right now, I think what he's doing is hurting the Commonwealth because we're right in the middle of our General Assembly session. Crossover is Tuesday. We're trying to get a budget through and finish up bills. It is hurting the Commonwealth at this time. This is a distraction. We don't want to sweep it under the rug. We want to deal with it, but this is not the way to deal with it. He needs to resign. We need to move forward as a Commonwealth and start the healing process.
Yeah. Lamont Bagby, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.